Hello, and welcome to episode 1 of Sim Sundays. I guess presented by GridFinder. We didn't really discuss how we wanted to subline that, but this is the first episode. And actually, the cool thing is that we've decided officially that we're going to be doing it every single Sunday. So the original idea was, of course, that we were going to kind of sprinkle it in with a couple of our invitationals and extra things, but we wanted to go one step further and do it every single week because apparently Mr. Tom, my co-host here, really enjoyed our pilot episode. Hey Tom, how's it going today?
It's going well. Thanks, Chris. I did enjoy our first episode. It was a bit nerve-wracking. Podcasts are obviously new to me, not so new to you. You're a bit of a pro. But yeah, having another person there definitely helped. And now we have 3 people because we're going to have a guest at every single podcast every single week.
It's going to be interesting because we've also changed up the format a little bit to where we're not just going to do the talking head style podcast. We're not just going to, do this typical, how'd you get your start in sim racing and all of that.
That might be it.
Well, that might be a question, but we're also hosting an actual race. So we're going to be racing with these guests. We're going to be chatting, and you're probably going to hear a couple curse words or swear words or, whatever you call them throughout. And then we're going to release to podcast services as the typical, interview style. So there will be 2 different versions of Sim Sundays. There will be the YouTube version where you get to watch the race, and then also the podcast version on all podcast services. That is the, interview style. It's going to be a lot of fun. So, Tom, who do we have on the show for our first guest ever?
Okay, I'm really excited about our first guest. He is, well, by definition, the fact that he's on our first guest, he is our first guest. He is charitable. He has an incredible community. I've been in the community, hanging around, being a bit of a stalker, watching the chat. It's unique. If you've not been into our guests' Discord, you need to after this podcast. It's kind of eye-opening. I have been enjoying just watching the randomness that's been coming out, which is kind of on brand.
Well done there.
To introduce our guest, I'm going to start with a quote that I found from the 30th of October 2019. Wow. I did some stalking, and the quote is this. To be fair, you have to have a very high IQ to understand him. The humor is extremely subtle, and without a solid grasp of theoretical physics, most of the jokes go over a typical viewer's head. There's also his nihilistic outlook, which is deftly woven into his characterization. His personal philosophy draws heavily from Narodnaya Volia literature. For instance, the fans understand this stuff. They have the intellectual capacity to truly appreciate the depths of these jokes, to realize that they're not just funny, they say something deep about life. As a consequence, people who dislike him truly are idiots. Of course, they wouldn't appreciate, for instance, the humor in his existential catchphrase, Pora Karalo, which itself is a reference to Turgenev's Russian... Okay, right. This goes on, right? This is a message I found. This is a message I found in the Discord. Deep in the Discord, we have questions. Please welcome Random Call Sign.
Hi, guys. Thank you very much for having me here. Heads up, the quote is actually 2 Portuguese swear words. So that stalking was was good.
It's been fun. Your community is, as I said, unique.
It's very unique. It's also that's a copy pasta from Rick and Morty that was adapted to the community or to the channel. So quite funny.
Where did you pick up that quote from?
I'm not a Rick and Morty fan, so I did. Well, not a fan because I haven't watched it before. Don't at me. I said that in the last episode. But yeah, it really stood out to me that these people really know you.
Was it Izzy? I think it was Izzy. Either that or Isaac. It can only be.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. There's somebody called Icarus.
Oh, Icarus. Okay. He's one of the mods.
Nice.
Very, very nice. Very nice. So I did a little bit of stalking on my own because I was curious, about your YouTube channel and how long you've been doing this and, when we were initially trying to make the promo images and everything, I stalked you a little bit on Instagram, a little bit on Twitter, and I like your style, how it's more personal rather than being a brand per se, because
Yeah.
you kind of lose when it's a brand style Instagram or Twitter, you kind of lose a little bit of that connection with the user or the creator. And you've been doing sim racing stuff as long as this is your actual first video, 5 years now on YouTube.
More. I've deleted more than that.
Okay, I kind of assumed because your frequency and uploads is amazing. Your content is really curated, where you do gear reviews, just chats, some racing here and there. And I noticed that actually 5 years ago you were racing in the car that we're going to be racing in today.
Yes. Basically, this car kind of made my channel in the start. So it's basically a car that exists in a specific Japanese cartoon. That's
Initial D, right?
Initially, yeah. And at the beginning of the modding scene in Assetto Corsa, they brought the mountain courses to Assetto Corsa. So it was really interesting to explore how sim racing and something that is both real and at the same time imaginary, because Initial D is not, it's based on a real thing, but it's not a real thing, how those things interconnected. And it was also a very good way to train sim racing in racing skills, because it's so difficult to drive there, and this car takes no prisoners. You do a misstep, you go to the wall.
It does not take prisoners. I put about 20 to 30 laps in. I was hoping to get more in there, and I guess I'm very heavy-footed on the gas because 360s just on every corner.
Yeah, it happens a lot.
Probably the first 15 minutes. I'm like, what is happening right now? So we'll see if I can, tame the dragon and stay on the road. I'm just hoping that if I do spin, I'm not causing wrecks in the front of the pack, because you guys are putting up some pretty good lap times on the track, and I feel like I'm going to be the blue flag representation for the day, honestly. So what actually made you go with the name Random Call Sign when you first started all of this?
Nothing would do with sim racing. Back on Battlefield, when it came out, they asked you to log your name. The name that I used was already taken, and then it said that a prompt, choose your call sign. And I was thinking to myself, maybe I should choose a random call sign and be the one with it. Oh, that's good.
So the Random Call Sign name came from you coming up with a random call sign.
Yeah, that's
that
it.
That is beautiful.
It kind of stuck. I liked it because it was, that random. Nobody would think of it.
Yeah,
I think.
I mean, one of the hardest things to do when you're coming up with a new name as a creator is to come up with something that's actually available on all kinds of different platforms. So the fact that you are Random Call Sign on every single platform that you represent is impressive. That no one has even come up with Random Call Sign, because anything that I ever think of that's relatively unique is always taken. Always taken. We're actually struggling with that with Grid Finder, right, Tom? Some people.
Yeah, right. A lot of squatters.
A lot of squatters.
So here's the thing: horoscopes. Right? If you have a horoscope, you're born at whatever time you're born. It's outside of your control. It's to an extent random. Now, it sounds like your name, Random Call Sign, was pretty much bestowed upon you in the same way, in that there was very little thought or meaning behind it.
Yes,
but I wonder
absolutely.
if, like a horoscope, you put meaning behind it, right? So, you get told, right, you're a Leo or you're a Scorpio, and then you find out what that is, and you're like, oh, yeah, that's totally me. Have you, in the last 5 years, searched for a deeper meaning behind the name Random Call Sign and then appointed it upon yourself?
Not at all. I just, with this channel, basically, I just take it whatever I feel like it at the time. I've done Gran Turismo 5 and 6 videos in the past. I've done like this mountain passes stuff for like 1 or 2 years, and I started doing Assetto Corsa reviews, and then I started doing equipment reviews. So it's truly random. not because I wanted to make it random. It's just because I get bored of doing the same content over and over again, and I just move to the next thing. So
I suppose
basically, that's it.
within a niche, though, right? It's random within an incredibly
is.
niche.
It is. It can be. Well, I don't think the word should be random. It should be more like eclectic. I prefer that. But the eclectic call sign doesn't have the same rank.
No, it doesn't.
So let's, if we can, go back to a time before random call sign. So I want to ask a few questions. I'm going to go backwards in chronological order. So before random call sign, so you had random call sign as your name on Battlefield, and then you used it as your YouTube channel name. Now, I'd like to understand the thought process in the days and hours leading up to the moment where you created the YouTube channel called Random Call Sign and then started thinking about uploading that first video. What was it that made you think, you know what, I want to make a video about this and post it out?
Well, the channel started as a Gran Turismo 5 and 6 repository of like, oh, I've done the license A10 in gold. That was basically it. So you do like 10 or 15 of them on a day. Recorded it with a very, very old Elgato capture card and then put it on YouTube as a bulk. And then after a while, your content kind of changed. You just started doing racing, and then okay, now I want to try that thing, Assetto Corsa. Then I'll start. Okay, this you can install mods in this. Let's talk about mods. And then every single thing progresses because from mods you need to get a better wheel, and then you start. Okay, now I bought the wheel. Might as well just post a review on it and see what happens. And then things start, developing naturally. The interests of things that you'd supposed in the past you didn't have any interest with, like cameras and stuff. Okay, now with this camera I can do this kind of recording and then post it on a video, and then I start doing more bigger video editing. It's not something that I did professionally. It's just something that evolved with the time as I was putting time into this specific platform. I guess it's like most YouTubers, at least from the past. Nowadays, everything is like super curated and super planned out. But when YouTube was about YouTube, instead of like big brands, it was mostly like, hey guys, look, this is me and I'm doing this. Thank you for watching. Nowadays it's completely different because tastes evolve. It was back then was always the case of somebody picking up a phone or whatever, showing something, and then moving to the next thing, and then evolving as your craft evolves as well.
So was it a conscious decision then? Was it, or was it born out of pure curiosity? Was it like, I'm gonna make a go of this YouTube thing, I think it looks like a direction I want to go in, something I want to invest my time in? Or was it, let's give it a go, let's just see what happens?
It was a bit of both, because conscious decision in something like YouTube, I honestly, if anybody is watching this, you shouldn't ever do a conscious decision, come to YouTube and think, okay, I should do this for a living. Never do that. It's awful. It was more of a case of you start getting interested in the small things that make a video. It's the technical side of it. It's the almost like every frame of painting of when you do a video, even though I don't have a skill for that. You start to have like an appreciation of the art, because there's still an art behind doing videos in many ways, not just putting numbers out there. It's just creating your own video, and it starts evolving. A lot of people that came, for example, to do, I don't know, films or series for a living, they probably picked up a phone or a camera, old 35 millimeter camera or 8 millimeter camera in the past, and start doing their own edits, and then moved consciously to I want to be a director or something. In my case, it was more like I was doing this. Now my interests changed a little bit. I'm liking doing that. Let's see if I can do the thing after that. It's more like it was super casual, not thought of it, not I didn't think about it, and then at a certain point, the interest started developing, and then doing what I do now for YouTube, basically.
Okay, so it sounds like it was like a natural evolution, and you just
Yeah,
like that
yeah.
wave. Okay, so you focus heavily on sim racing on the YouTube channel, but I have noticed that you do quite a lot of different styles of games, right? You often tweet about different styles of games. What came first, general gaming or sim racing?
General gaming. Um, well, sim racing. One of the first games that I've played in a PC was Formula One F1 GP by Microprose. So the oldies, like Jeff Crammond kind of stuff. But that back then it wasn't sim racing. It was AZ, comma, and whatever the other button in space, right? You played with the keyboard, and then okay, I want to play this, and then now I'm moving to XCOM or whatever it was. So um, getting to sim racing was more like, hey, I want to buy a wheel, see what happens. There's a wheel on discount on MediaMarkt or whatever it is. I'm gonna buy it and see what happens. And then you play like Richard Burn Rally or Need for Speed or whatever it is. And then you start moving. Now I want to buy Gran Turismo because I have some, spare income that I can dash out in Gran Turismo. And it's one of those things that kind of spirals out of control. And you
Yeah.
move to the next thing and the next thing, and once you get it, oh my god, half of my room is sim racing. No.
And do you have a community at home, like friends, family who are kind of big gamers or into sim racing, or anyone you share this with?
No, no, no. Not really. I'm basically the only person that is associated with that.
Well, that kind of comes on to my next question, because you Google random call sign, and the first few sentences of every single search result on Google is random call sign, the Portuguese streamer, random call sign, the Portuguese sim racer. So I feel like that seems to be Google's favorite USP for you.
Oh my god. Well, it's better than the thing that was before, I guess. So don't this guy does only toge.
Does only, pardon me, what?
Toge, it's mountain passes with this car.
Oh, okay.
It's much better than that. At least they put I'm Portuguese. Okay, that's good.
Yeah, it's a far broader USP.
Yes. Yeah.
How big is sim racing in Portugal? Would you say it's caught up to how big it is in the UK, Germany?
No, not by a long shot. It's still very heavily centered around Gran Turismo. Portugal doesn't have, incomes there aren't very high, so the cheapest thing goes, which in this case would be Gran Turismo. It's a good game, and a lot of people are casual on Gran Turismo. There's a few old communities of sim racing in Portugal, but it's nowhere near as big as it is outside of Portugal. So United Kingdom, Germany, Italy, and France and Spain would have far, far bigger communities by many margins of degrees. It's
And why do you think
small. It's small,
is
but
that?
I guess it's like very tight knitted as well.
Is there a link there to how popular motorsport is in Portugal, or how unpopular it is?
It's popular in Portugal, very, very popular. Well, one of the reasons why Group B was banned was basically because Portuguese guys did Portuguese things with the crowds. So it's very popular, especially rallying. Formula One is also super, super popular there. Not so much grassroots. It's more like big type events. The only type of grassroots stuff that I guess that would be like more popular would be like the rallying, the smalling rallying leagues and stuff. It's very popular to Rally de Madeira, but it's on the island. But a lot of people fly there to see the rally. But it's mainly like rally and Formula One. GT racing, it's really not that popular. It's becoming more popular. MotoGP is also becoming more and more popular as well. So it really depends on I guess, the championship or the type of car.
Okay, so I kind of entered motorsport the same way. Like rallying was what got me, because seeing a car go 3 inches away from some photographer's leg that just barely ran out of the way, I thought that was absolutely insane.
Oh
And
yeah.
then, of course, naturally, I'm like, well, I want to play a game and drift around a dirt track. And then I didn't really get into Formula One until probably 3 years ago, really. And one of the things that got me into Formula One, oddly enough, this is not, I swear this is not a promo, it was Grid Finder, because Formula One leagues were easier to find. And so when you got your first start in trying to get into sim racing, how did you find leagues for just to race in, or did you
Oh,
primarily race against the computer? You know,
I'm never a big guy about leagues. It's just I I end up doing like 2 or 3 races, and then life gets in the way because I can't plan for that time or that long.
yeah,
I never did leagues. I don't think I've ever completed more than 1 or 2 leagues. I do more like specific type events, but that was only something that I started doing like 3 years ago or 4 years ago, and even so, it was only once in a while because in between work and in between doing like content creation, it's very very difficult for me to do a league or set myself up for an event. It's basically I don't have time for it, sadly. I've
that
been
makes
like
sense.
telling myself this year, it was something that I've written on my Twitter on the beginning of the year. This year I'm gonna do a league. We're June. I haven't done one.
Tom sends me a link to a league about once every 2 months and goes, "Hey, we should race in this league." I'm like, "Yes, that sounds fabulous." Oh
Nope.
wait, I can't do those nights, or I can't do every
Exactly.
week, or I can't.
Yep.
It's just life gets in the
Impossible.
way. Yeah,
Impossible.
exactly. So one thing that's really cool is streamers doing one-off events. So obviously, you can on a Sunday randomly you can find a couple of streamers that are putting on events. Are you a streamer as well?
Very, very rarely, but
Very
I've
rarely.
been well. Sometimes, I guess. Sometimes I do it more during the weeks. I guess. So I think it's more. Once again, if I do it at night, I'm too tired. I can't. I have to run around with the kid. She's 5 years old and
Oh,
she has a
yeah.
lot of energy. And I get to the front of the computer at 7 or 8 o'clock in the evening after cooking dinner. Oh, I can't do this.
Yep.
No. Please stop. I just want to go to bed, Netflix, and chill. You know what I mean? I don't want to be in front of the rig. So
Yeah.
I want to do more of and if it's on a weekend, it's more like in the afternoon or morning. Otherwise, I just can't be bothered with it because it's too late for me. I'm becoming too much of an old man.
It's funny when you get to a point where you're so tired that pushing power on a couple of things, you're like, this is just
No,
too
not
much.
possible.
I
Not
can't
possible.
do any of that, right?
Yeah.
So outside of sim racing, what would you say is your ultimate chill out game? What is the game that you always go back to, or you can kind of always rely on to be that like release for you to relax with?
I don't have like a game per se for releasing, and most of the games that I play are absolutely not about relaxing. Now I'm playing Elden Ring,
I did see
and
that on
that
your
thing,
Twitter. Yep.
and that thing, God damn it. I love it. I know it's my first Soulsborne game.
Okay.
So I haven't played Dark Souls 1, 2, 3. I haven't played Sekiro or anything like Bloodborne or anything. So I'm also one of those guys that started playing difficult games when they were 6.
Mhm.
XCOM, super like into micromanagement. Even need to buy the rounds and the explosives of every single one, and then you have to make sure that everybody is geared up with the things that are expendables. On the next mission, they are not there, and you have to buy the missiles and all of that. So I was doing that kind of stuff when I was 6, 7, and 8, and
Mhm.
I've always found it really, really cool. But then 30 years later, I'm playing Sekiro and dying over and over and over again instead of finding something that, oh, okay, this is relaxing. No. God
Yeah.
damn it, I have to do it again. I was almost killing that boss that took me 6 hours.
I feel like that kind of goes well with sim racing though, because sim racing is kind of in the same where it's like,
Yeah.
oh, I almost beat my best time. Oh, one more lap, I can nail that world record on my console or whatever, right?
Yeah, exactly.
As well, right? Setups is similar to setting up a weapon or a loadout or whatever.
Oh yeah. It's with setups you are going, I guess, a bit blind. You can more or less rough ball it. Okay, my car is understeering, so I'm gonna, maybe give it a little, make the springs tighter at the back or something like that, and you can rough it out. But you never know, um, never know on the course of 1 lap or 2 laps or 10 laps or 15 laps, depending on the length of the session you need to do, or if you're just doing for a time attack. You never know how it's gonna play out. The thing with Elden Ring is that you know how it's going to play out. You're going to suffer. That's that's for sure. That's the first thing. You're going to suffer, and then you have it like especially well done, but the boss like cheeses some spam thing, and then you die. But I know this is the way. This is the correct loadout. I have the correct skill for the weapon or whatever, and then you do it and over and over and over and over again.
Yeah.
But even though you know exactly that's the correct way to approach it.
So it's kind of interesting because I'm not a Souls player by any stretch of the imagination. I'm more of a
Oh,
Call of Duty
nobody
kind of
is
guy.
until they try it
Well,
out.
that's true too. So I watch it though, and it's amusing to watch because like you'll see trends. So like you're talking about the boss will have one style of attack where he just
Yeah.
does it on repeat for a while, and then the person will die because they're like, oh, I haven't made it this far yet, and he changed it. So now, okay, I know he changes it after his life gets to 25%. He's going to change to this new thing that I have to learn, and then you start to learn that, and you die again, and you die again, and it's just on repeat forever. And it's one of those things where, like I said about sim racing, it just the laps. Every single time I go around, I'm like, oh, I could have done corner 2 a little bit better.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
I gotta plant my foot and go flat out between 2 and 3, or whatever it may be. And it's just kind of that same level of learning and improving and getting better and better over time. So I think the Souls games actually do lend themselves to sim racers pretty well. To be
Oh yeah, in terms of
perfectly honest.
repeating, yes, it's a learning experience, but I think sim racing is a little bit more nuanced than that, because you can see a very big increments on the way that you move the character in the game that you cannot see in sim racing. Sim racing is about capturing that last tenth, and in Soulsborne, it's a little bit different because you don't have that last tenth to compare, because you
Right.
can always go grind some runes and then put some power ups in your weapon. So you there is, I guess, there is some comparison between one and the other, because it's about the grind and the repeat. But the sim racing is in some ways more difficult, because you can have like your setup correctly, and you say, okay, I'm doing my inputs correctly, and then you have absolutely no idea how to improve it. And even when you go to compare it with somebody else's Motec, you have no idea how to replicate it or to get that less stent, and you have no idea until something clicks on your head.
Yep. Tom and I have actually talked about the fact that him and I need to put some time into learning setups. Tom gets a lot of setups from his sim racing friends, and he knows a little bit more than I do. But every single time that I get into the setups management screen, I'm like, I don't know, I guess I'll just mess with the tire pressures. And that's like the extent of my toying around with it. How about you, Tom? Like, what's your experience in setups and the frustration of trying to figure those out?
Well, setup's isn't so bad, mainly because we're very fortunate to have an incredibly talented sim racing team who I can ask for some advice. And I don't really understand it yet. I put my hands up. I'm getting there. I'm learning it bit by bit by bit. So tire pressures, and then anti-roll bars and so on. So I'm just kind of like incrementally going through that process to learn what each individual element does. But I'm also painfully aware that each individual element interacts with all the other elements. So it's not a case of just learning one in isolation. You have to learn the whole feel of the car and how each of these elements interacts. However, something that I have learned over the last 10 minutes listening to you talking about XCOM, Soulsborne, and Elden Ring is that I think my childhood was set on easy mode because I was playing Roller Coaster Tycoon and Red Alert 2, and I thought I was Richard Branson setting up my Roller Coaster Tycoon empires, and then I thought I was some kind of general playing Red Alert 2. It's like, oh my god, the depths this game goes to, it's incredible. You have to build a barracks, and then you have to make a man. Wow. Oh my god, the steps I've come through to create this army. You have no idea. I could basically do this in real life. And now I'm listening to this going, oh god.
Well, there's once again different type of skills because Red Alert is much about control of areas and much about APMs or actions per minute. If you play, if you ever watch, for example, StarCraft, and you see the guys controlling that keyboard, it's amazing. They do like 300 400 actions per minute, and they cannot drop it, otherwise the other guy just rolls over him. And
Cool.
that includes moving units in a group individually, and at the same time controlling barracks to build whatever it is, and then controlling upgrades, economy. It's a different type of thing. So there's a lot of micromanagement on the unit side. On XCOM, for example, it's more of economy that is micromanaged to the way that it's more, I guess it's more related to investment banking than proper like overall strategy, I guess.
I suppose it's different combinations of layers, right? Because you have that in sim racing, you could go to a more macro level. If you're doing an endurance race, you have your individual inputs and how much you're saving tires. Then you've also got your setups that you've planned beforehand, the amount of fuel that you put in where you've done some planning for a stint. And then if you're with a team of 3 or 4 people, each of those who have got different skills, it's like using characters in other games who have different skills and weaknesses.
Absolutely.
Those together for the right package.
And then you need to figure out if it's going to rain, what pressures you need to take when it's going to rain. And you have somebody on the background saying, hey, we need, whenever you go to the pits, make sure that you lower the pressures or make the pressure a little bit higher, unless it's iRacing when you always put the pressures down. And then you'll have somebody on the background putting laps around it with the setup. Okay, guys, I know it. You need to drop 0.2 psi. On that one, it goes up 1.1 psi, but make sure that you don't go out too strong. Otherwise, you're going to get a lot of issues with the front tires or whatever it is. I've heard it all. It's amazing. The amount of preparation and endurance race and amount of knowledge on strategy and tactics is absolutely tremendous. And this is just sim racing, let alone if it was racing in real life,
Yeah. So, I've been watching our sim racing team in their Discord talking about the setups and the planning for each race. And we have an iRacing team and an ACC team, and there's channels, and they talk about setups and they talk about strategy, and it's just relentless in the weeks leading up to a race. And then the devastating thing about sim racing is you could do all those hours and hours of practice, and I see them every Monday night. They're all in there and they're all practicing, and they'll get into the race, a 12-hour race, turn 1, and they're smashed.
Multiple crashes, yes.
Repairs, and it's heartbreaking.
Yeah. Well, it's that's the random part of racing, I guess. There's the things you can control, and then there's the other people. It's more like that.
You're just diving into turn 1, trying to take out as many people as possible.
Look,
Tom, that's our experience with pretty much any AC F1 server that we join randomly.
It's what Mario Andretti said. You go to Monza T1, lap 1. It's where you win the 24-hour race. It's Mario Andretti. You can check it out on Google.
So racing. Chris, I think you're about to talk about this.
I don't know. I was actually going to ask Random if he's ever had the desire to get into real motorsport, and that's going to relate to your experience a little bit there, Tom.
Well, desire, I guess every single person on earth that likes car would love to race a car. But the thing is, I don't have a bank of mother and father to do that. So It's not possible. We have to be realistic, you know.
Yeah, well, we thought the exact same thing. So we're trying to do what we do for sim racers, but in the real world. And because we have a sim racing team, I was like, well, we've got to have a real team. But I was like you say, it's ridiculously expensive, like prohibitively expensive. It's not accessible. You can't go even grassroots motorsport, even karting, right? If you go karting, like Club 100 is going to be, you know,
That's 100K. That's what if you, it really depends on where how far you want to take it. Because I've heard like kids, like 8-9 year old kids, every single race they're putting a new engine in it, or every 3 races they have a new chassis, and that thing piles up. But then you need to have the engineers, the mechanics, the this and that and whatever and whatnot, and then over a course of a full season is like 50-100K. Nobody has money for that.
Right. Yeah. 100%. Well, we're trying to. So I don't know if you've seen what we've been doing with the 4KA.
Yeah, I've seen it. Yeah.
Yeah. So the enduro car. So it's a team event. So for a start, there's 4, 5, or 6 of us. So you split the cost 4, 5, 6 ways, and then we're kind of trying to explore how you can keep the cost down and go racing to like a more reasonable level. It's still expensive. You'd have to be living on another planet to say that you could go motorsport. You can go racing for cheap, but you know we're trying to work out: is it possible for a group of friends to save up and go and do a season of motorsport, or even one endurance race in a 4KA? And it's not far off, but enduro car is probably one of the only places you can do it. But it has been interesting seeing the crossovers between sim racing and real racing. Especially when it comes to strategy and the preparation. You know, you go through that preparation phase for weeks and weeks, well, if not months, for each race, and then the nerves when you're sat on the grid for that first qualifying or that first race is actually not too dissimilar to sim racing. You know, when I've been racing in leagues before and I practiced for hours in my spare room, ready to go and race Formula One at Monza or whatever, obviously virtually, you get pretty nervous in a very similar way. I was feeling very similar emotions sat in the 4KA.
I suppose that you'd be more emotional on a 4KA. If I touch it, it's season over. If I do anything wrong in the car.
Yeah, that is true. The 4K has character. It has character. It's not fast in a straight line, but it can be fast around the corners.
Yeah, those things are nippy. Is like this? Is it the regular one, or is it a Sport KA?
There's a couple of little modifications. So we have a roll cage, semi-slick tires. I think the gearbox feels different to real, although I'm not sure if that was intentional or not. I can see that Toby in the chat, who's racing with us in the 4KA for Gridfinder, who incidentally says that Jeff Crammon's Microprose Grand Prix was his first ever racing game. So love to Jeff Crammon tonight.
I wish he could do more, but you know, there was a time and place for those games. They'll never come back again.
No. So, talking of racing, tonight we have invited our communities to join us for a casual race. So, we've got about 10 minutes of practice, 10 minutes of qualifying, and a 20-minute race. But before we start, I would like to know why you've chosen the AE86 and Tsukuba.
I haven't chosen. It was my community because they're. I'm not going to talk about them. They're bad people. I wanted the Road America 787B. That's what I wanted. I gave it a few options. Was that the Road America? You know, I was thinking, okay, let's try. We can also try the Green Hell with the GT3 car. And then this. I have no idea why they chose this over the other ones. Well, I do have an idea. But I guess it's okay. It's a nice combo. It's a nice combination. It's a different car to drive than the other ones. The other ones are race cars, and this one is like a old Japanese car it's basically souped up and doesn't drive very well, but it's fun to drive.
Doesn't drive very well. That's my experience with this car. To be fair though, it's kind of built your channel like you were talking about earlier. It's kind of been the car that got your YouTube channel to where it is at this point. So it
gave me a head start. Yes, it's basically a way to nods, you know, a little bit to the past. You know, if I put the plug here, for example, in my merchandise for the new logo, on one of the when the letters on the C, it's basically this car drifting the corner. And the other one is a GT3 car, so it tells you about the past and the future as well. So I guess this car is, like I said, it's very difficult to drive, but the combination is good. I think Tsukuba is a really nice track for a car that is not as powerful as this. I still wanted Road America, but whatever.
Maybe when we let the Grid Finder community pick our next track or one of the tracks for Sim Sundays, you put the vote in for that exact combination and see if we can win that for you, and you can join in with us.
Okay.
Because Road America is a fun track to drive.
Oh, it is. And the mod is amazing. The mods in Assetto Corsa is great. I love it. Far better.
I definitely
it's
know
about that time for us to switch into racing. So we can come back to the conversation after the race, but we got to get some practice in. We have about 4 minutes left of practice.
Oh,
then
is that
a
it?
10-minute qualifier.
Yep.
And we probably should get on that track to at least hopefully not spin too many times during the race. So Tom, you need to switch over to your rig, and we're actually going to go over to the race feed now, which actually a lot of the community's already in there doing their practice laps. Are you in there, Random? What is the fastest time?
It's a 106.1.
106.1.
Yes.
I don't think I'll be hitting that, but I will try my best.
So. I'm doing a 106.9 at best.
So Tom, can you go into the server log and can you increase their balance of power, fix it so that they can't get that time anymore for us, please? Thanks.
Okay.
Well, let's get into the racing now. So, are you running manual transmission, or did I see you're using the just the?
No, I'm manual. I'm manual.
Full manual transmission. Me as well. So, we'll see
how this car demands to be driven.
Get started up here.
There's some drifty boys already.
If I drift, it will not be on purpose. It will be completely on accident.
Remember, drifting is a way of life with this car. If you go sideways, it's fine. It was made to do that.
In 360s, do those count? Huh?
Yeah, if you go 360 as well.
Fully spinning all in just a circle.
All right, I'm back. I have transitioned from my desk to my cupboard. Can you hear me?
Welcome back.
Thank you. I wish they would remove
a lot of mental power to maintain this car under control.
So this is exactly why. Tracks like this are why we were like, right, we'll take the first 40 minutes of the podcast and we'll edit it for Spotify and Apple Podcasts. But the race, probably not so much, because especially in this car, we couldn't be focused and talking absolute nonsense.
I feel like we will be very focused in this race, even more so than the mini race that we did on the pilot episode.
That was really tough.
Yeah, I was in dead last for sure. I bounced it off the wall twice, so that didn't really do too well. And then I was like, nah, I'm not going back into the pits. I'm not doing any of that stuff. So what do we got here? We have 106. Tom, you're only 9 seconds back from that, so you're okay.
Yep. Would I actually qualify with the 106% rule?
Okay.
I was bamboozled.
I got someone. Oh, that's you, Random, behind me. Ah.
Bye.
Oh, no. I couldn't handle the pressure.
Oh. Is that you, Tom? Off on the side?
Oh, yeah, I see you behind me there. I just got spun by Random. It's official. It's on the stream.
Just make sure you turn the replay into the stewards.
I will.
Couldn't do anything. The car spun in front of me. There was no safety. Safety area.
What's the time?
This car is a lot of fun. I kind of think this is the perfect choice of car from your community. Having been in your community only for a week on the Discord, like the amount of random memes, GIFs, videos, little clips of stuff that I will never understand. I feel like this car...
I don't
so
understand them as well. I'm old millennial. They're a bunch of Zoomers. I don't understand them. I'm feeling like, old man yells at cloud kind of thing. Those young whippersnappers, I have no idea what they're talking about. They do the rock and roll. That's how I feel there.
I have the same level of understanding of that community as I do this car. But you're right, this mod does look good. I knew it was going to look good. Oh, hello, little drifter. Because your method of communication random by text is very efficient. A man of few words on the keyboard, which I have a lot of time for. But when you asked me to change from the original mod that we discussed to this one, I got, maybe 2 or 3 sentences, and I was like, whoa, he likes it. He really likes it. He wants us to go.
I'm not on text. So I've worked a lot of years in communication on email, and the more words, the more miscommunication. So the less words, the more communication.
I like it.
So I tend up to be very very succinct, to the point that sometimes it kind of feels rude. But I've been living lately with the maxim of, if I had more time, I would write a shorter letter.
I like that. I like that a lot. Well, I actually I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the communication for this podcast. I was in the military for 10 years, so I enjoyed the strict efficiency of characters. It was like you were sending each message via a HF antenna.
Sorry, only have 16 KB.
Cool.
Right, I'm up to 6 now. Also, Chris, I love that whenever you're behind me, because your username starts with the 3 letters DAD,
Yep.
I just see on the timing board, Dad.
Yeah, my old username was no good. It just said the. That was boring.
If I can drift the last corner, let's see. Let's do initial D.
You better do it.
No! There's no handbrake in this car. No!
Oh no, I was 5/10 up. I could have been P5. Right, how many laps are we saying here then? What we
that's 8 laps. 9 laps.
Okay, so
10 liters.
I reckon about 8 liters, Chris.
Let's see. There we go.
So we've got Lorbaz, Random Call Sign, Henrik Pelim, Gasper Medved, J. Miller Welder, and my favorite name, I think, Iced Milk.
Iced milk, nice.
Iced Milk. Followed by Space Boy, Roland on the Ropes, Lifeless, Monsor Bukalfa?
Just call him Habibi.
Habibi. Okay. I've got Why You Behind Me, who is actually behind Dad, which is what I'm now calling you, Chris.
I'm good with it.
Clutch
That's fine.
Anderson. Clutch Anderson. That is a great name.
Sounds like a Fast and the Furious character.
And it does.
It's part of family.
Okay, right. What's your mantra for turn 1, Random?
Masur, you have the wrong tires. Take the semi slicks. Don't take the vintages.
Here we go.
Okay.
Qualifying.
Let's just not get lapped
Aye.
a bunch of times in the race, and let's
where
put some
is it?
decent times up.
The real time. Here it is.
I tell you what, random. We could always ask Mike to stream your POV, and we could do a lap talk through.
You are.
I'm not a good. I'm not that verbose. Now on lap 2, on corner 2, you do the late apex. Now turn the car more to the right so you can have a good exit on turn 3. I'm not really that good. That's.
I was enjoying it. Keep going.
I really enjoyed that. I could do a whole lap of that. I would make that my alarm clock.
Tom, wake up! Lap 1 in 5 minutes.
I will grab that little bit for you, Tom, and send it to you so it can be your alarm clock.
Thank you very much. My girlfriend will be confused, but when I explain, she'll be deeply honored. Tell you what.
Be like a Poundland version of a race commentator.
Whoa! Right, Lifeless ahead of me. You can see why he's called Lifeless. He's going crazy. Whoa!
Is anyone drifting yet?
Yes, there's
not on purpose.
Tom drifted.
That was not on purpose. Oh, you're in P3 there, Dad.
Working on it. I have to.
There's another
concentrate
drift
so
on the
much.
hairpin.
I don't know how to
You
hold
need
the
more
grip.
speed. You need to do more speed on entry, and you need to make sure that you don't go full throttle. So you need to maintain a balance between the rear tires losing traction and the front tires having traction. If the front tires get too much traction, the car will, point the other way around. If the rear tires get too little traction, you just spin inside.
Noted. I'm going to watch you.
Almost.
Oh, almost.
That was great. For 5 seconds.
Oh no, I've heard that before. Right. Come on.
A phrase always heard in many, many bedrooms all around the world.
Oh, nice.
Okay. Corner 1 is honestly a bit of a nemesis. You go into it thinking it's going to be easy. But you're
it's
right.
not, yeah.
You go in too slow and it bites.
You need to also be careful because when the track goes up, there's like this weird thing in the grids on the mesh of the track that kind of feels like the front tires just lift and then you lose front grip. You go.
Okay, I'm going to have to go for the strictly non-drifting approach now.
Let's see. Let's see. Come on. Come on, do it! Do it now! No, it's third.
That was a very accurate impersonation. That was amazing.
You sounded a lot like my friend Lunatics then.
I think he was doing an Arnold Schwarzenegger reference there.
Yeah.
But
that
makes
was
sense
good.
based on nationality, so.
So, you know that Arnold Schwarzenegger actually has a song, a country song.
What?
Yep.
What song?
I did
It's
not
called
know that.
Earthquake Love. It's amazing.
Earthquake Love.
Yes.
Okay.
It's for a movie. But he sings it and it's amazing. It's the best thing I've ever heard. And the next thing I want him to do is for him to sing Disney songs.
Which one would you choose?
Oh, Let It Go.
Oh, yeah, fair one.
Come on, let it go. Let it go. Come on, do it now. Let it go.
I don't even know what to say.
That
Can
would
we
be
get a whole rendition of
incredibly
that song,
trippy.
please? Open up the chat channel and have everyone listen to it.
You should do it, for charity, of course.
How long is qualifying? 5 more minutes, okay.
Not long enough, Chris. Not long enough.
Damn it! Too slow.
Right, come on. One clean lap.
Tires. Papa.
Not even one.
I was funny to hear Schwarzenegger sing "Let It Go." I would too, you know.
That would be... Oh, you could do a whole rendition of it. That would get like 1 million hits on YouTube. Just do it. I liked what you started with already.
If I was somebody who created deep fakes, I think I would spend a lot of time trying to make that one.
Deepfakes.
There's really no victim in that scenario. If somebody committed that crime of making a deep fake of Arnold Schwarzenegger singing "Let It Go," there really is no victim. Everything is happening.
Oh man. Okay, yeah. 107s are the top 4 right now. 108, 109. Tom, you need to put in a clean lap. You're at 116.
I know, it's because I haven't done the first corner. There we go.
Don't fully use the brakes, otherwise you're gonna lock up.
Right.
This thing is full of tricks. and despair, of course.
Oh, there. Was that you on the road there, Tom?
Yes, it was.
Just drive it like the minis from the other week, and you'll be fine. Just no drifting at all.
Mm-hmm.
Well, at least we won't have a faster car in the server like we did on the pilot.
No, that was a big error.
Yeah, that was huge. I was like, how are they going so fast? What is going on here?
Yeah, how do they keep getting such a great exit and overtaking me on the straight?
Yeah.
Oh, it's a different car.
I had no idea.
Come
Oh, how
on.
the drift?
You almost had it.
Yes!
You on.
You did about
Been a good
25% of the corner in a drift there, Tom. That was not bad.
Tell you what, Toby would really enjoy this car. He was racing with us. This same corner. Right, I'm going in too slow again. Maybe, not too fast. One or the other. Ooh, it's tight at the top. There's 300s in it.
Yeah, that's
Between
it's real
P1
tight
and
up there.
P2. What I'm realizing is that when we were practicing before the podcast started, I was watching random crazy aggressive inputs, and I've just kind of like seen myself in the third person. I drive so smoothly, which works in some cars, but I think maybe this is my downfall in this car.
Probably.
I move the steering wheel so slowly.
You're probably being way too safe.
Yeah.
You have to be smooth with it, but sometimes you have to do fast corrections, or you need to make sure that the car is... Oh,
Get
no.
around. Oh,
No. My tent's down. No. Okay. I'll take this one. Fuel.
are you on a heater there, Tom? How you doing? Oh,
I am,
you-
actually.
There you go. There you are. No pressure. Not everyone is watching you right now.
Oh no, don't tell me that. Go on. I'm on to what's your time, Chris? What do I need to beat?
What am I? 109.506.
Ooh, I'm on a 109.2 at the moment.
Oh, Gasper is going to start from the back.
Yeah, no laps.
Go on. Woohoo!
There you go. 108.793. Nice.
So when we first decided that we were going to do this podcast, one of the things we said that we were going to do is make sure that by Chris and I being in part of the race, we're not too like, ugh! We're a bit more like accessible. Like anybody could do sim racing. You don't have to put hours and hours of practice in to enjoy it. And I feel like by always being at the back, we kind of... Oh, sorry, Henrique. Random, I've done you a favour there because that was P2. I didn't mean to. Just to clarify.
Oh, you're just taking people out now?
I didn't
Okay.
mean
Yes.
Jeez.
He's helping me out.
I did. That's why I said. Random was like, "Yeah, I'll come on the podcast, but only if you ensure that I win the race. Otherwise, I will
not.
run the smearest."
It's part of
smear
the contract.
campaigns. Yeah. you will never see such a vile smear campaign against Gridfinder in your life if you don't let me win.
Don't race in their Sims Sundays. They take you out so that the guests can win.
That's what I heard. Oh, this guy's drifting. And
Toby says that he would 100% pay money to hear Schwarzenegger sing Let It Go. So let's line it up. Let's make it happen. That would be hilarious.
But yeah, after the podcast, listen to Earthquake Love. It's the best thing you're gonna.
Earthquake Love.
Yeah, it's the best thing you're gonna hear all year. I guarantee you.
Can we buy the license and make it our podcast theme tune?
It's unlikely because it's part of a movie.
It'll be quite expensive. That might be out of our budget.
Yes. It's also an Amazon Prime movie, Netflix in other countries.
I forgot how many really bad, terrible movies Schwarzenegger was actually in. Because
none of them are bad. None of them.
Terminator and the good ones, but he's in quite a few just very iffy movies.
He's not in any bad movie. You need to be with the correct type of mentality to watch it.
I guess that's true. Yeah. I can appreciate that because there are some what my wife would consider terrible movies that I absolutely love. So,
or the movie is so bad that it's good.
Right, it tips the scale the other way. It's gotten so terrible that now it's just funny and amusing. Yep. Okay, well,
you guys
hopefully
ready
don't
for the race?
Crash.
So, you were saying something about brake bias. Does it move it forward?
Yeah. It's on 70, and I think it's already too much forward. But if you go to 69, nice, or 68, the car just goes directly sideways, sadly. If you go 71, 72, it should still be okay to maintain the car in a balance that you braking in a straight line, but then you get too much understeer that you might need to.
So I'm doing what every skilled race driver should do, which is change my setup between qualifying and the race.
Absolutely.
Yes, that's the advice for everybody, right?
Yeah.
That is the way to do it.
Yeah, that's where the smart money is.
And you have 20 seconds, so choose wisely.
I've got 72. Oh, have I mapped a beep?
I
What's
don't
the
even know what
keyboard?
my
Beep
horn
is
is.
M.
Yeah, I want to participate, but I can't because I have no idea.
Oh, the lights. Yeah, do I beep or do I... Okay, start the race. You got to rev. You got to rev at the beginning. It's going to spin out the backs, isn't it? Right, GG.
Terrible start.
GLHF, Eastern Turn 1.
Oh, what a start!
Whoa.
Oh, yes.
Oh, that was a... Look at that.
Oh,
Everyone was
the
nice.
cars from the 1980s back at Tsukuba. The young Portuguese man in the front, followed by the Brazilian.
Whoa!
Whoa, Tom. I almost
Really
did
loved
the
it.
same thing.
I mean, that commentary is golden.
I
tell
think
you what,
Ember
this
Musk
has been
does it
clean.
better.
Going a little slow on my end here.
Oh, some lockups.
Oh, caramba. No.
There it went.
Oh, very small after the fin against Eric.
Oh, oh. Oh, I tried to dodge you. And I
Oh, no.
what are we doing? That was professional racing right there, Tom.
We've got ourselves.
Remember, these skills are transferable to your Ford KA.
Yeah, right.
If you go sideways, you know.
We do a lot of sideways, but it's.
I have a video. Called "You Should Learn How to Drift," or "Drifting Can Save Your Life." It is true. Every sim racer should learn how to drift, not because they need to do like massive skid. No, not something like that. It's because if something happens, you would at least know how to correct it.
I need to watch that video. Ooh,
Learn how to do like power slides and initiate yourself with drift. You'll find that after a while, when you're driving like any other car that you don't want to drift, if something happens, you know exactly how to put the wheel into the counter steer. I've seen my cars sim racing so many times because of it.
Oh. I can't believe I didn't hit you right there.
It is a fiery battle for seventh back here.
Oh no! Don't do it. Yes.
Whew. Okay. So what's it looking like up the front there? Because I can't see it anymore.
I am
You're nice and far back.
trying to get away from Enrique. One small mistake from my part, and it'll be just on top of me.
In your eyes, a small mistake is probably just losing a tenth or two, taking the wrong line through a corner.
Well,
Yeah, small
yeah,
mistake is a
small
spin.
mistakes in this car can cost you a second.
Yes, or 10.
Or 10.
This is exactly why.
Yep, no. Ah, bullish. That's a second lost.
See, Tom, we're catching him now.
Well, yeah. I also love that that's the exact same noise that I made when I did about 3 360s going into turn 1. You're like, oh, no. I lost a second. Oh, here we go. Getting into a bit of a rhythm now.
Go, Rick, go away.
Okay. Hoo. I feel like you're really negotiating with the car, you know? You're like compromising.
Oh, dang it.
You can't sleep. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I won't make any noise, and I won't do any more of that. Sorry, honey. Making too much noise, apparently.
Oh no. What time is it where you are?
The same time as you are.
Oh, okay.
So it's about 9:10.
Okay. And it is a Sunday, to be fair. Whoa!
Be very, very quiet. We're racing A86s.
This is the worst car to have to remain quiet in.
Yeah, because every corner is like you're gonna spin around 13 times.
Right.
Oh,
I make so much noise as well when I'm driving. Like I feel sorry for Chris Hay. He's having to go through and edit all of the GoPro footage from inside the 4KA for his next video, and he'll just be listening to my stint with me just like screaming abuse at myself.
I actually would love to see that. Just the raw audio from that footage would be amazing.
It was quite funny from Donington. I was getting very angry at myself, and I did a couple of good overtakes. I was like, "Good, Tom, yes, that's what we're talking about." I knew you had it.
Talking to yourself is healthy.
Sure. Yes, Doctor.
Ooh, I think something's damaged.
Is it your pride?
No, that stays intact. I know where I am at sim racing wise, but
Firmly in the I enjoy it camp.
oh yeah.
So, Random, tell me all about your understanding of astrophysics.
Depends what you want to talk about in astrophysics.
Where, well, to start with, where did your understanding come from? Is that your educational background?
No. But, you know, when I was a kid, I used to watch Carl Sagan a lot.
Okay. Is it embarrassing how you
pyramids
know who
of
he is
Giza.
because of the Big Bang Theory?
Yeah. No. What, the series? No, never
Yeah.
watched it.
Oh, okay.
I have more or less of a engineering background of sorts. And I'm a little bit naturally curious on the engineering part of many things and the science part of many things. I don't have like a deep understanding of it, but you know, I like to talk about stuff like that.
That's not what your Discord community thinks. Ooh.
Let's go! You know, being left behind. Let's go!
10 more minutes.
Come on, Chris, you got this. Where are you?
I tried to drift a couple corners and did a couple 360s. I figured I was in last place, so I might as well have fun with it.
Well, yep. That is a good mantra. I remember I used to do that on Toka 2, and my older brother used to get really annoyed at me. Like if you were losing at Toka 2, I'd just like turn around and just go backwards and just head-on crash with all the cars.
Head-on crash with everyone.
And that's not the approach to take.
Come on, let's go.
Of all
Front tire's almost
the
done.
upcoming sim racing releases in the next couple of years, what are you most excited for, Random?
Ooh. I mean, that Well, not excited because it's bad to be excited about sim racing games because they're not going to be good at launch. Let's be honest, never are. So I'm that Rennsport game, which
Yeah,
means
what's your
racing,
video on that?
seems to be quite an interesting concept. If it's going to work, it's another thing altogether.
I enjoyed the quote. It's not an NFT game. I feel like he was reading the room when he said that, right?
Yeah, they say it's not.
People thinking it.
If they have to specify it's not an NFT game, it meant at certain points it meant it was supposed to be an NFT game.
Yeah,
that's how I feel it.
It's like it's not an NFT game. It's just a game where there are elements of digital ownership of your assets, which
and
you
some
can
of
trade
them might
or
be
sell.
or not non-fungible.
Yeah, they may or may not be fungible.
But I suppose it's about the blockchain, NFTs are about the blockchain.
I kind of like the focus on esports though, because every game so far has always included some kind of campaign mode or some kind of free roam mode that's kind of its raison d'etre of like that's why it was made, but then they kind of adapt it or I don't know, pick out certain elements and create an esports version of it. Whereas this one is very much like, no, this is an esports platform more than a game. I kind of like that. It's interesting. I suppose iRacing is the closest to that, right?
It is, but honestly, campaigns. I don't remember ever finishing a racing campaign.
Me neither. Except Need for Speed 2 Underground, if that counts.
Yes, but that's different,
I love
That's
open
different.
world racing games like that.
That's that Peugeot 206 needed to be pink with the nails,
I always wanted to make mine look like the ones from the films, which were always like the last decals to unlock. They knew what
From
they
the
were
Fast
doing
and the
with me.
Furious flicks.
Yeah.
Yeah. Was it Underground 1 or 2 where you could like go up into the mountains and do magazine shoots?
Oh,
So it's like
that was
you
2.
open your doors.
There's one,
and everything.
I don't even think one had a free roam.
No, it was like missions. Yeah,
Yeah.
Rick is catching me. No. He's really catching up. He doesn't make any mistakes.
I did a nice little 360 on turn 1 there. Right, my aim now is to lap Chris.
Have you not yet?
You don't know?
No, I just see blue flags and let people. I don't have like the names above the cars.
Control
So they're
L.
just arbitrary cars going by. Why can't I do that? Drifting. Good grief. I feel like my next 3 weeks of sim racing are going to just be me learning how to drift.
Oh, this car is not the best for drifting, anyways. There's
It's
a
funny, 'cause
drift
I'm
version
not
of this
a
car.
minute. So here's a question. Assetto Corsa is my favorite sim. I love everything about it. I love the physics, I love the look, I love the mods. I even, and this is going to be controversial, I even don't mind / quite enjoy and regularly go to the online lobbies. Like a little F3 race around Mugello on Assetto Corsa's like unranked lobbies. Quite like it. Not against it, right? And for that reason, obviously, I'm incredibly excited at the prospect of AC2, but I'm very nervous because I love AC so much. I don't want them to make it so wildly different that it's nothing like AC, but because there's an AC2, AC dies a horrible death.
I mean, it's not like it's gonna disappear from your Steam wallet.
Well, no, that's true.
If it doesn't work, people can still revert to it. Remember, Battlefield 2042 is a thing, and a lot of people still play Battlefield 3 and Battlefield 4. And I'm being caught up by Enrique, and if this pace, I'll be overtaken in a few laps.
Oh, no! Oh, I've run out of fuel.
Get out of the way! Get out of
Oh, God. I've run out of fuel. What? I put in like an extra 5 liters on top of what you said. Oh, no, I've been punked. How am I gonna...
How many liters did you put?
It's
20.
Oh, I put 15. Oh, no. Well, that's embarrassing. Oh, no. Chris, can I vote that we don't record any stats for these Sunday sessions, please? I'm already at my first DNF, which doesn't feel great.
Well, fortunately, Grid Finder doesn't keep track of your stats automatically quite yet.
Not yet.
Otherwise, you'd be like, Chris, can you log into the database and get rid of that race for me? Thanks.
That is definitely...
No. Oh, that's the worst place. No.
I've just come out, and I think I'm going to catch you, Chris. Well, I've got 2 cars right behind me, which I'm a bit nervous about. Oh, Chris is off!
Yep. And
Right.
the
game is on.
The leaders.
Oh, these are
the leaders are behind you. Don't do this to me.
Okay. Oh, I'm going to go wide. I'm going wide. Going wide. Chris is off. We're both on the grass.
I'm just getting out of the way so that they can race.
I could not deal with the pressure. Oh, there we go.
Yeah,
I
just didn't want to get in the way.
No, I would have felt terrible. Brandon would never have come back for another episode if we'd both just blocked his way in this race. Come on, car! Oh. Well, this is a dramatic end. I really feel like, Chris, one day we need to make our involvement in our own races like a slightly different vibe to what they are now.
I mean, we had an impact on the race, right?
Well, we tried not to, though.
Oh, my rear tires. Oh, you made another mistake.
Why is one... Is that you, Tom?
Did you come off as well?
I did.
Oh, God, no.
Maybe
Who
that's
was
why
that?
you and I
Gasper.
on
Gasper
random
must have
nights.
just seen you going off, dodged you, and then seen me going off and dodged me.
Maybe
Last
that's why
lap,
we're
last lap.
competitive against each other.
Vamos! Toca!
You can do it. I believe in you.
What does it mean? What does it all mean? I actually really feel quite motivated to master this car now.
It is interesting to drive, isn't it?
Yeah, although I completely acknowledge that there are a few steps in the pipeline between where I am now and mastering this car. Oh, the curb! Oh, not my beautiful headlamp.
Two more quarters.
Oh, no.
Oh God, Chris, you've unlapped yourself. I'm coming for you.
I'm on the inside. Stay out.
No.
Leader is on the final lap. Last
Go on.
corner for the leader. And he's going to cross the line. And he wins. A Portuguese man winning in Japan. We haven't seen that since the 1500s.
That voice is epic.
It sounds kind of timeless.
I love it.
All right, come on, Chris. Let's pretend this is for the win.
At this point, you and I just need to not crash.
Little drift.
I saw that.
Ooh, and over to the pits to say thanks to the lads. Thank you.
Oh.
Oh.
Tom, we're terrible at racing.
I definitely think we'd have been a lot better in the 787.
Probable.
To be fair, I almost always play GT cars and F1 cars for the most part now.
David has made a really good point, which is we are terrible podcast hosts because we literally just allowed Brandon Coulson to do his own commentary for his own win. Like we played basically no part in that race, Chris. We were incredibly passive for that whole experience.
We were struggling so much to just keep the car straight that we couldn't even do anything.
Think about it this way. You've learned more in 30 minutes of you lapping the car than you had in 2 years in sim racing. You're going to be going out of here a completely different racers.
That is true. That is true.
Right, we'll switch to our typical cars and then be experts all of a sudden.
Yes, absolutely.
That car is difficult to drive.
It is. It took me like a proper 3-4 months of constant using this car to get any level of proficiency with it. So,
and you grew your channel primarily on that car. That's impressive, sir.
Yes.
That's impressive.
Yes.
Not gonna say it's impressive, but I did.
That is. I couldn't get a handle on that car. I don't know why, but. Probably put too many variables in. I probably should have done like paddle shifters or something instead of.
Oh, it's even worse. You need to control this car with the gears.
Oh,
that's the thing. You do need to do blip. You need to blip the gears heel and toe. Otherwise, it's going to be very easy to upset the rear when you go into braking area.
Yes.
Yeah. That was my experience to a T. Definitely.
I noticed that David had the exact same experience. Well, a very similar experience to me. So Roland on the Ropes has said, fair play, lads. I did 5 laps in this car and just noped straight out of there, which is exactly what went through my mind before I realized that I couldn't nope out of there. I was like, oh, God, this car.
I put some practice laps in today, and today was the first day, and I was like, ooh, this is going to be rough.
We learned a lesson today, Chris.
We did. Don't let the guest choose no.
Yeah. Next time it's going to be GT3s at Monza. Just to keep it real simple. We've got a question from Mansour who says, who is your favorite OG?
I don't have a favorite OG. There's like a group of like 4 person there. That will be actually Mansour. Chili Dog, Izzy, and Isaac West in no specific order.
In that specific order?
No, in no specific order.
In no specific order. I was going to say, that is a bold call.
That's like being number 1 on the top 8 in MySpace.
Or Bebo.
Right?
But it's hard because it's hard to say that because people come for different things. Some come for just the streams, others for crap posting in Discord. That's what you see a lot of in my Discord anyways.
I enjoyed that. I kind of figured that I would probably drop into guests Discord to get some information, do some like stalking, get some content.
Oh, you didn't
and
get
then
any
leave.
Information from my channel. Everything there is just smoke and mirrors.
Yeah, well, very entertaining smoke and mirrors. Toby says, what's your favorite mod on a sim racing game?
That's difficult. My favorite mod in terms of a track, It's actually Road America. That's why I've chosen it. And in terms of a car, there is this really obscure car in some Discord called BMW M4 by Varus. It's just an M4 that is super souped up. It's an amazing car to drive. I'm not sure if it's realistic or not. I just love to drive the car. It's so fast.
A really good question, actually, because people when new mods come out, you'll get loads of people who will be like, "Oh, it's not realistic. It's not this. It's not that," because probably because they've watched it race right in real life, they've been to the track, or they've seen it on TV, and like it doesn't handle like that. But you can't really tell from the outside. So my question would be, what's more important? How accurate it is, or how much fun it is to drive within certain parameters?
The problem is that you can have like a car that is super accurate, at least in values wise, and the car drives completely different from real life. So it's because you have like the values of the car, that is the values of the files, and then you have a layer that is the physics, and the physics don't do the interaction. We can stay here all night, and especially with one specific sim that I don't want to mention, otherwise people are gonna just kick my butt or whatever. But it doesn't really matter if it's a super complicated physics system, as long as it feels roughly in the area, because you'll never know. You might it really could be like 1-to-1 in a sim, and you wouldn't have that feeling, because you're driving through a completely different set of things. You'd need like a proper 5 degree of motion kind of sim rig to give you like the G's and something that is correctly set up and the same pedals and whatever. And it could be like 100% correct in the sim and in the files. So in terms of what is more important, I think it's neither of those things. I think it just needs to be like on the rough ballpark of whatever it is that it's supposed to drive like, because the rest is some sort of abstraction they have to put on top of it.
Yeah, we had quite a lot of fun trying to build a mod for the Ford KA, and then going to Donington, driving the 4K, and then coming back to the mod to see what was and wasn't different, and at what point we were upshifting and downshifting to get the gear ratios right, and understeer versus oversteer. And it was incredibly tough, because also, unlike in a sim, real cars change. Like the car will feel completely different from session to session, even with no setup changes. And even if the track is, relatively similar, if it's been sat on the back of a truck for a little while, it will feel different the first few laps. So it's it's incredibly fluid.
Talking about fluids, even the fluid inside of the dampers with hot and cold will be completely different.
Yeah,
it's very difficult to model something on a sim, and I think in sim racing there's that much of a talk about this is not realistic. How do you know? Come on.
Right.
How do you know?
We have another question for you. So Jimmy444 says, I want to get into streaming. Which piece of equipment should I prioritize when upgrading?
For streaming, in what sense? Because I'm from the point of view that if you do need to stream and you need something, it's always audio first. Because you can watch a crappy stream, but you can't listen to a crappy mic.
Chris, I think you found your soulmate there.
I 100% agree. Yes, 100%.
I've been like doing my best to properly equalize my voice. First of all, I don't know. Secondly, I hate my voice. And thirdly, it really needs a third person to properly equalize your voice, because you need to be outside of any bias. So having like a proper microphone, not proper as in you have to spend thousands of dollars, of hundreds of dollars, something that works. I think it's the first priority. There's like many channels on YouTube that tells you, this $50 mic that you connect through USB, so it doesn't need to do anything else. You don't need to have like an XLR input or anything. It's really good. You go there, and maybe in the future you'll have to upgrade. But if you have something, start there.
There's an interesting piece there as well, that different microphones will pick up different people's voices differently as well. So like my microphone is not necessarily good for your voice, or Tom's microphone is not necessarily good for someone else's voice. So it's definitely kind of a trial and error. Luckily they're hardware based, so you can actually exchange them if you don't end up liking the one that you commit to. So it's hard though.
Audio is
a lot of people, especially if you're an intro streamer or just getting started, you probably, I guess I'm just guessing here, but most of them won't necessarily know how to EQ a mic or to what a noise gate or what a noise suppression does.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of variables in there. There's a
And
lot
then
of
there's like preparing the room, preparing the room, or the reverbs, which this room is not prepared for at all. I have to work here, and having a lot of south panning, it smells and it's awful.
It smells?
Yeah, it can smell if you have like if you live in an area that it has a lot of humidity.
Yeah,
it can start smelling after a while.
It's those endurance events where you're sitting in the sim rig for so long. Also, that doesn't help, right?
True.
Although you did say that your sim chair is what was it? Perspirant proof?
Perspirant proof? It's perspirant proof is with your perspiration, your sweat. I guess you can buy them, but it's so expensive. The last ones that I had, which were also the first ones, were some random from Amazon, and after a while they would catch like the smells, especially wet smell, and when you take it from the wall, oh cool, there's some mold.
Oh yeah. Sim Racing podcast talking about how your chairs get moldy after you use them.
Yep. It can happen.
Gross.
That's what you need to worry about. Talking of lofty heights, we need to introduce our next guest and ask you to leave them a question. So, next week on the podcast, we have Danny Juicer, pro esports driver and head of sim racing at Kavana Gaming. We are asking Random Call Sign to leave in our inbox a question for him that we will ask him next Sunday.
I have one just to maybe stir this a little bit.
I like
Exciting.
it. How do you manage the egos on a team of very competitive drivers?
Ooh. I am looking forward to that answer, although I'm a little bit nervous that might be the best question asked on the whole show. Yeah. And it hasn't come from either of us, Chris.
That was an amazing question, and we're just going to steal that and use that in every single interview now. No.
I need to do a trademark on that.
That's amazing. Thank you for that.
No problem.
Oh, I had a great time, even though I was, dragging up the back and playing.
You guys suck at driving, but it was a good time.
Yeah, Tom and I. It's funny because
in
our little bubble where Tom and I will race on a random Wednesday or whatever, just to have a meeting, we're like, oh yeah, we're pretty competitive, we're doing really good, and then we get on the track with a couple other cars and a guest, and we're just in the back spinning in circles.
But we had arguably maybe the most fun. I don't know. I was enjoying it. Hopefully Mike was focusing most of his efforts on the front race as opposed to our shenanigans at the back.
Yeah, he probably... I don't... Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much
awesome.
for inviting.
You're our first guest ever. And not only did you show up, but you won. So, congratulations.
I had to do this because I need to set up the standard. You cannot start like in a very low standard. You need to make sure that the guest wins the first one. So the next ones will be pressured to win as well.
So there's this little show that I used to watch that you guys may have seen. Maybe we need to do record a hot lap during the week on the track that we race on so that they can send us a hot lap. And then we'll have a board of who does the fastest laps
that would
on
be
a
nice.
custom track.
That's a good idea. Where did you come up with that?
And we'll keep a record of all the guests that we have on the show and how fast they went on our track.
It was that show, right? The bottom gear.
Yeah, we can call it the bottom gear
Bottom
leaderboard,
gear.
so we don't get sued.
I think we'd be dangerous anyways, but yeah, that would be pretty funny. So next week we have Danny Jusa on, and Tom will actually be interviewing him by himself. I will be out of town. And then also, if you missed any of the action today, we release this on podcast services for the interview stuff, and then we also will be putting it, well, it'll be on YouTube instantly after this. So if you didn't catch the full race, obviously go check that out. And we'll be here every single Sunday from, well, hopefully from now on. Right?
Yeah, we will be.
From now on.
And if you want to get involved with the race, then if you go to gridfinder.com/Discord, you can join our Discord and see all the information of Sim Sunday. And it's nice and simple because essentially we race every Sunday at 8 o'clock with a guest.
And then I'm going to reserve a spot on your calendar. No actual date yet, Random, but it would be very cool to have an invitational of all the Sims Sundays guests where all of them just race each other. So,
ooh, no pressure.
If we can at some point, once we have a good catalog of guests, get everyone all...
Or we already have a good catalog of guests.
We do, actually. We have a very long list. We won't go over the entire list, so we won't ruin some spoilers. But follow us on Facebook, Instagram. Obviously, we're on YouTube here and Twitter. We don't have the same username on all of them, so just search for GridFinder Random Call Sign. You do have the same username on them. You are on Instagram and Twitter, correct?
Absolutely.
Yeah, and then check out some of his videos. He's got amazing video content on his YouTube channel at Random Call Sign as well.
And their words, not mine.
It's great content. It's great content. It's definitely good. Any last words to say, Random or Tom, either one of you?
Banana.
Thank you.
And we close it out with banana. Thank you all for being here. Like and subscribe if you would like, and also go hit Random Call Sign's channel as well. Thank you, guys. We'll see you next Sunday.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye.